All right, what's up, Turtle Riders? Welcome to the. I don't think we've got a name for this show quite yet. What are we gonna call it? Uncle Coffee with Uncle Turtle Boy. I'm still thinking of names. If you have any good names, let me know. I'm always down for names for this. So, just a reminder, guys. We're able to have this episode now. We're doing a Monday and Wednesday morning show at 9 o'clock to go along with the Tuesday and Thursday night show at 9:30 p.m. Because we have an advertiser, right? I wouldn't be able to do this without an advertiser. So, our newest advertiser, guys, listen up, is Andrew Porter Contracting Roofing in Charlton. All right? If you need a new roof, which I know you really only need every, 30 years or something like that, but it's probably the most important investment you have on your house. Right? It's like the number one thing a realtor is going to sell to a potential client, whatever. You want a new roof, you got to get it done nice, right? You can get it done pretty much anywhere. There's a lot of people that do roofing, but you want to go to the best, all right? And that would be APC Roofing in Charlton. They have a 5-star rating on Google, Angie's List, and Home Advisor. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. They're an Owens Corning preferred vendor. And all they want, guys, in return. I understand that you can't just go out and buy a freaking roof, especially if you don't own. And you're not. If your roof is 10 years old, you're not going to go out and get a new roof tomorrow, obviously. However, this is about brand recognition and building a brand. We want them to become like the first thing you think of, right? When you get a garage. When you get a roof, rather. Because when you get a garage door, the first thing you now think of is what? Garage Doors Plus in Quincy. Obviously, that's the whole purpose of this. So, APC Roofing, all they want in return, guys, is for you to go on their Facebook page and like it. I believe there should be a link in this live stream. I'm not entirely sure. If not, I'll put it in later. But go on their Facebook page and like it. By doing so, you are automatically entered to win an Echo 250-mile-an-hour leaf blower, a Milwaukee drill kit, or a golf bag. Winners will be announced on Black Friday, so definitely hit them up and show them some love. They love to hear it. All right, guys. So, welcome to the Riders Aboard. I'm going to try to follow along as best I can with the comments right here, so it doesn't do the whole thing there. But, welcome. Hope you guys had a nice weekend. We had an interesting one as well. We talked with Amanda Sawyer on the show on Saturday, and looking forward to another busy week this week, I'm sure. I'm working on the book this week. I hope to have it ready for Thanksgiving, Black Friday, hopefully. I want to have it published on Amazon, so stay tuned for that. So, with that said, first thing I want to talk about is WEEI. Right? I know we talk about WEEI a lot. If you're not from New England, you might not be familiar with this radio station, but they had the top-rated show in New England, the Kirk and Callahan morning show that had risen from the ashes and surpassed 98.5 in the ratings when all of a sudden one guy, one activist, Bob Murchison, came along and basically declared war on the station because he didn't like the things that Kirk and Callahan were talking about. They were talking about mainly one issue that they didn't like. Transgender athletes in sports. They're against, boys beating girls in sports, which is understandable, right? Boys, I don't know if you guys know this, are better than girls with sports. We've seen it this past weekend when Somerset Field Hockey once again won the South Coast District Championship 3-1 over Walpole, and a boy scored all 3 goals, right? So there's an obvious difference. Now, field hockey's a little separate because they're not pretending to be girls. He's just a boy who's like, I'm beating up on girls. Like, he doesn't hide it. So anyway, there's an obvious, and they're doing sports. Caitlyn Jenner is a big story. Obviously, they're going to talk about it. So Bob didn't like him talking about it. He harassed them relentlessly. They lost a few advertisers because of that. And here we are, right? Kirk no longer works there. He's at Barstool. Jerry was let go. He's rumored to be starting his own podcast soon. He's looking for a co-host. What's up, Jerry? How you doing? I'm pretty sure that if I was on there, we would absolutely kill ratings, but that's completely your call. Anyway, it's relative to what I'm going to talk about now because a couple stories involving WEI. First of all, Kirk Minahan is now at Barstool Sports, as you know, or as I call it, Huffstool Sports. I call it Huffstool because Barstool Sports was built on being an edgy brand, and they did a great job of it. Dave Portnoy did a great job just saying the things that you weren't allowed to say, right? It was basically like, it's similar to Turtle Boy, but, we don't do pop culture and shit like that mostly. or more interested in like investigative reporting or, ratchet shaming, stuff like that. They're more into like, what did Rihanna wear and how nice is her ass, stuff like that. So anyway, but the point is they said things you weren't supposed to say. They were edgy. They've grown. It's obviously a very successful company now. And he's brought in a lot of guys who just aren't very interesting, aren't very funny, and just aren't very edgy. And they're more cautious now. And I don't know why, right? They have so much money, so it's not like they're like in my position where they're afraid of getting sued or whatever. It just seems like they're constantly trying to appease a mob that thinks they're trash anyway, if you will, right? Like anytime Barstool Sports gets written about on a national level, all the social justice warriors come out and say they should be banned, they should be silenced, they're terrible, they got deplatformed on ESPN. And yet, if that was me, that's the kind of behavior, by the way. I used to be an independent or a moderate, if you will. I voted for Obama. I've talked about this before. It's the censorship guys that has driven me primarily to the right. And like this nonsense about the virtue signaling that the left has become, people like Elizabeth Warren, AOC. I mean, that's the new face of the left. I can't be a part of that, obviously. I voted for Obama because he didn't seem like a bad person, right? And he's not particularly woke, if you will. The others, I mean, ever since he's left, that party has lost its friggin' mind. And it happened during his presidency, but whatever. Anyway, this is relative because they got a lot of big names on their podcast. Their podcast network's huge. And they got a lot of athletes, famous people, celebrities, movie stars. They're obviously killing it financially. And they've had presidential candidates on there. They've had Andrew Yang. I don't know. They might have had Tulsi. I'm not entirely sure about that. I know they definitely had Yang on one of their podcasts. And when they do that, it obviously gets promoted, right? They put it on the website. A lot of people read it, etc. So, Donald Trump Jr. I don't know what you guys think of Donald Trump Jr., right? But I find him very interesting, the president's son. He's very outspoken on Twitter. And that guy, honestly, I used to think he was kind of a maroon. However, like when you read a lot of his, he's actually written some really good articles about like tech censorship and the dangers of deplatforming. And he's kind of like, he understands the younger, people like me a little bit better than his father does. I mean, his father's older, right? And, his dad's is more of a comedian at this point. Like he could have fixed tech censorship by now, but I don't think that's high on his list of priorities. Anyway, I think he's trying to stay in office right now. That's his bigger goal. But Donald Trump Jr. Wrote a book called Triggered, and he's doing a little tour. He went on The View, of all places, and a lot of people said that, why is he going on there? I'm like, that's exactly where he should be going. More people should be doing it. I'm happy The View even gave him a platform. I didn't think they want to do that. A lot of places will not give you, like anybody related to the Trump administration, a voice. That's called deplatforming. They don't even want to give you a voice. So, The View agrees to have him on. And I've never really heard him speak that much before. And I will say this about Donald Trump Jr. He needs to calm down a little bit. He needs to lower the volume, let other people talk. He had a little bit of Will Turbot going on, right? He does all the talking in these interviews, and he's very loud, and he talks over people. And it's sometimes no matter what other people are saying, no matter how much you hate him, you got to let him talk. You got to exchange ideas. And that's one thing he definitely needs to work on. He's very good in writing. He's better than his father in writing, but he's not good with whatever. It says Ida says it won't let me post a fundraiser link. That's interesting. Is it not on? Did I not put it on? Don't worry. I'm going to go ahead right now and I'm going to share. By the way, so yeah, we are constantly being sued. Let's not forget that. We haven't written about it as much. We're filing a motion hopefully soon in this case, and we're going to try to get it dismissed, particularly the one involving the yoga lady in Dartmouth or whatever, in New Bedford. And it's very expensive, that case particularly, right? This lawyer is really trying to make life miserable for us, and they want a trial. God forbid if it goes to trial, right? Because that would be extreme. I have no doubt we'd win it, and I actually kind of find that intriguing, the idea of taking this to trial. Because we haven't libeled anyone or anything, and the truth is our best defense. However, that would be very expensive, and you don't get that money back when you win. So I am urging you guys. I'm going to go ahead. Can we do it in here? Let me just go ahead and. I don't know. If you guys want to post it in the comments, you can. It's that fundraiser. It would be graciously appreciated. Anyway, getting a little sidetracked here. Let me talk about this Barstool thing. So, Donald Trump Jr. agrees to do an interview with Kirk and Steve Robinson, which is huge. I mean, Donald Trump Jr. is like almost 5 million followers. He's one of the biggest names in the country. Everybody knows who Donald Trump Jr. is. And he's doing his book tour. And he agrees to go on the Minahan show. Now, Minahan is a self-proclaimed libertarian, although if you listen to the show, I think it's clear he's going further and further to the right, and that's a good thing because he's starting to figure out who his friends are in this. Because I think he's understood what a lot of people understand. The people trying to silence you they're never conservative. Like I never try to get silenced by anyone from the right. When people from the right disagree with me, they call me a libtard, they call me this and that. But they don't try to like outright silence me or shut down my pages. And I think Kirk understands that because that's what he's being attacked from the left, not the right by Murchison. Anyway, they agree to have him on. It's an interesting interview. You should listen to it. I think it was Thursday they released it if you haven't already. And obviously, Barstool Sports should be putting it in there on the website, promoting it, whatever. Their idiot freaking editor, this guy, K. Marco, I think his name's Keith or whatever. Doesn't matter. He's got a blue check mark, thinks he's important. And that's the thing with Portnoy. He's giving all these people jobs, and they feel like they're a little bit more relevant or important than they really are. And K. Marco, makes the editorial decisions. He tells Steve Robinson, the producer of the Minahan show, that I'm not allowed to post the Trump Jr. interview, on the website. I don't know how to make that easier. Should I put it in Braille? I guess he's saying that to blind Mike. I know you were in it, blah, blah, blah. So, why? I mean, that's insane. This is like one of the biggest names in the United States today. The son of the president of the United States. If Chelsea Clinton or Laura Bush wanted to come on there, of course they would have. If one of the Obama twins, no, they're not twins, I apologize. One of the Obama girls wanted to come on there, and the Bushes are the twins, and do an interview, of course they would have him on. Of course they would promote it. It would be huge. So why aren't they promoting Trump Jr.? Let's also not forget, and this is the really gutless part, really gutless. About a month or two ago, Dave Portnoy made a joke about unions, right? He's saying if any of my employees try to unionize, I'm firing them. And it was obviously a joke. He can't do that. It's against the law. Right? We have labor laws against that. It's a freaking joke. He runs a satire site. And then idiotic AOC believes it's real. And she tweets something out like, you can't do this, unionize, blah, 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 like, we're going to come after you. And now the United States government is actually going after them for this, for a freaking joke. And if I was Barstool, I would be like, who are our friends here? The left is literally trying to have us investigated over a fucking joke. Meanwhile, people like Steven Crowder, people like Donald Trump Jr., they retweeted it, right? They're loving it. They thought it was hilarious because they get humor, right? They're not friggin' morons like AOC. So you would think that because like this guy in particular has been loyal to your brand, while everyone on the other side has been shitting on it and trying to silence you, you'd think you'd like this team a little bit more. But no, they can't do that. According to K. Marco, he hates that guy. That's what he told Minahan and Steve Robinson. And they're not going to like show the world that we interviewed Donald Trump. The frickin' View did it. The View, which is as leftist as you can possibly get. They advertise that they have Donald Trump Jr. on, but Barstool Sports will not. And that's why I freaking laugh every time people are like, oh, it's a right-wing, alt-right website. It's like, no, it's actually like pretty radical left in my opinion, right? They treat the Minahan people like they're like these crazy conservative nut jobs, and they won't platform them. They're like, that's insane. The son of the president. You won't freaking be like, you're like ashamed to have him on? That's madness. I don't care. Like they even said on the show, like if Adolf Hitler was alive today, I'd interview him. Who wouldn't? I'd be like, so, invading Russia, interesting choice. What's up with that? So I was reading Mein Kampf, and I had a question about page 48. You have a quote here about the Jews. Were you serious about this? What is your problem exactly? Did you get beat up by a Jew? Did a Jew steal your girlfriend? There's so many questions I'd like to ask Adolf Hitler and anybody. I'd like to ask Joseph Stalin. I would literally interview anyone, and any good reporter would, because that's good content. People would listen to it. But because Trump is like such a toxic name, you can't even be associated with anymore. That's absolute madness. So, and the fact that they don't realize this yet, like, oh, I fucking hate that guy. Why do you hate that guy, K. Marco? K. Marco actually writes good blogs from time to time whenever a college protest like erupts or something like that. There was some protests in Missouri a few years ago. He did a pretty good job covering at the University of Missouri. That was completely bullshit. And he does a good job whenever like Barstool's attacked by Deadspin or anything like that, some far left, outlet. And I don't know if he's noticed this, but it's like, dude, everybody who's attacking you is from the left. Yet you hate that guy who's like got your back? What the hell's wrong with you? Like, when are you guys gonna realize like the left is not your friends? No matter, I understand why they're doing it. They're doing it because they're like thinking like, well, if we have Donald Trump on here, they're gonna call us an alt-right, whatever. It's like they're gonna do that anyway. Stop trying to please these people. They're freaking insane, guys. They're freaking insane. The less you try to make sense of them and the things that they do, the happier you'll be. Trust me. Trust me. Anyway, so that's that. There was also the other story involving WEI that I published last night, and I didn't. So when I first found out about this story on Saturday, I didn't want. I'm not gonna lie, I was sad. I hate seeing homes broken up. I hate seeing it. Right? Even if one person cheated, it's tragic, right? Because families being torn apart, etc. And that appears to be what happened at WEEI. Now, normally, someone's sex life is none of my business, and I don't think it should be anyone's business. However, it became the world's business when over the weekend, when all the Minifan minions, if you will, it's like its own little corner of the internet, Minifans, right? And they were all talking about it, right? So here's the background. Chris Curtis is the producer of the WEI show, of the morning show on WEI. He was kind of like a recurring character. He speaks on it, stuff like that. And he's been at the station for a long time. Chris had an alcohol problem a few years back. He got clean. He's talked about it openly, which is nice on the show. And he's lost a significant amount of weight to go along with it. So good for him. I'm happy for him. However, it was alleged by his wife, of all people, that he's been having an affair with a woman named Lucy Burge, who is a former intern. She's got to be like 26 or 27 years old. A former intern turned producer in 2017 at WEEI. I don't know what show exactly she produces, but she was an intern on the midday show for a while. And nice looking piece of pie. I'm not gonna lie. Looks so. I don't think that. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it's that hot. I don't know. She's good looking, but I think she's a little bit overrated. But anyway, he has an affair with her. Allegedly, according to the only reason we know this is because an Instagram account, right, which is purported to have been run by Curtis's wife and maybe him too, dedicated to the dog. I swear they're one of these couples, I guess. No judgment, but kind of judgment, right? If you have an Instagram account for your dog, little bit, not going to judge you, but, a little bit weird, okay? And so they have one of the Instagram accounts for the dog, and they just constantly tweet out pictures of the dog and stuff like that. Until this past weekend, when the account tweeted out some interesting things about Chris Curtis and his alleged situation going on, right? So you see some of the pictures here. I don't know if you guys can see those, but there's him and his wife. Here's some of the emails. So the Pudgy's World account puts out a copy of a screenshot of an email that allegedly is sent from Chris's wife, and it's to Lucy. And it says, "My husband will be contacting you shortly to tell you he wants to be with you." Now, keep in mind, this woman stuck with him throughout his issues with alcohol, which is nice. "I want to make it abundantly clear he's doing this because I'm leaving him. So I guess she wants to let her know, like, he's not telling you he wants to be with you because he wants to be with you. He's telling you that because he's out of options, right? Because I'm out, which is. I hope this. I hope one day you look back and see how hurtful your actions have been. I don't know. If I found out my wife was cheating on some dude, like, I'm not going to attack him or anything like that. I'm not going to jail over it, but I don't know if I would have been this nice. I mean, what do you say to somebody? Do you blame the mistress? You kind of do, right? Like, you shouldn't be, whatever. But, you know, it's very calm. I don't know if I would have been this calm, that's for sure. Once again, this is put out by a website called BJ, Boston's Journal, Boston Sports Journal, something like that. I forget what it stands for. But they've put out a lot of accurate information before, particularly about ratings and stuff like that. They seem to follow this along. And they got screenshots of this stuff before it's taken down, right? So there's that email. She also produced private email correspondences in which they're like, loving each other. Thank you. I love you so much. Blah, blah, blah. From October. They have some Facebook messages they sent in July. I'm flying back to Boston. Hope you're having a great weekend. Give you a call tomorrow afternoon when I'm back in town. Hold up. What's with all the turtle emojis? That's what I want to know. Every single thing has a turtle emoji, guys. What the hell's going on with that? So anyway, she looks good. I don't know. Whatever. So anyway, she's having an affair with this dude, which is their business. It's really not our business. However, when you think about it, it's kind of fucked up because she has been promoted in 2017. We don't know when this relationship started or whatever, and we don't know if Curtis has those kind of pulls. Who knows? But the bottom line is, and I feel like in general, you should not be dating people at work who aren't clearly and explicitly on the same level as you, right? If there's any, like, even in a police department, a sergeant should not be dating a lieutenant. Right? In teaching, the teacher should not be dating the principal, right? You shouldn't be able to get a job working at a school, quite frankly, if your husband or wife or girlfriend or whatever is the principal. Because it's unethical because it raises obvious issues with hiring, promotions, stuff like that. Like Leah Genduso got her job in the state police because she was banging the Lieutenant Colonel Dan Ristine. That's a fact. That if she did not know him, she would not have gotten on. Right? So, and a lot of troopers get sent out to, Shelburne Falls or Cheshire. She got a job in Andover working with dogs. She got a pretty plum job. So, the same thing could be alleged here. Curtis has been at that station a while. He's a producer. I think it's implied he must have some kind of pull, something. And he was, apparently, according to these messages, it seems like that his wife put out that they were in the midst of a love affair, which, again, is their business. However, it's kind of hypocritical because WEEI particularly has ad nauseum talked about the Boston Globe. That is like their favorite punching bag, and for good reason. The Boston Globe's horrible, hypocritical, etc. And they allowed a culture of sexual harassment to go on there for many years. And according to the Me Too movement, it's not my rules. It's the Me Too movement. And we saw with Katie Hill recently. According to the Me Too movement, it is, you cannot consent if you are subordinate to your boss because you'll do what you have to do to get your job. And that's it's an unfair position to put somebody in. And they've railed on the Boston Globe for this. And then to have the producer allegedly involved in something similar is problematic. Now, I do want to say that I have nothing against Chris Curtis. I've had, Chris Curtis has supported the show as far as I know. Privately, at least, he can't do it publicly. And some people have said, "Oh, well, fuck Chris Curtis," Well, I don't feel that way. I was conflicted about writing this because it's like he seemed like a decent person, and if he's cheating on his wife, that's none of my business, quite frankly. However, it's just too relevant, and people were talking about it, so I had to say something. But I don't blame him for not leaving when Kirk and Callahan left. Some people are saying he's a snake. He double-crossed them, blah, blah, blah. It's like, Kirk Minahan's a big name. Kirk Minahan was going to land on his feet. He was making good money as it was. He had Barstool in the back pocket. That was always there. Meanwhile, Jerry Callahan, another big name. He's been around a long time. I'm sure he's doing well for himself. They'll be fine. But Chris Curtis, you get fired from your job as a producer, what are you going to do? You're going to go across the street to WEEI and get a job? What are you going to do? Right? I understand why he would not want to leave. I totally get that. And the show that they're on now is so terrible. I listened to Hillman on Friday, and oh my goodness, they had Dan Aykroyd on there. As if anybody wants to hear from. I wonder what Dan Aykroyd's up to these days. Like, what? Who's even thinking that? They have Dan Aykroyd, washed up Dan Aykroyd on, and he's there to talk about his line of vodka. They went like half an hour. I couldn't turn it off. It was too bad. It was so bad. Right? I told the Kirk and Steve this. I'm like, you guys got to tune in now. It's just so freaking awful. They're talking about his line of vodka, and they're asking him questions about it. It sounds like they're listening to, like, watching live golf. It was that bad. So, that's what the show has become. But, you know, he needs a job. Your bosses tell you this is the way the show's going to be. This is the way the show's going to be. Welcome to big boy world. If you don't want to play by those rules, you have to do what I did. You have to start your own shit. Right? You got to start your own shit. So, anyway, why don't we take any questions or anything you guys have? A couple minutes, and then I got to get back to work. Let's see what people are saying. All right. Dan Aykroyd was on Joe Rogan. Yeah, I mean, I find a lot of the Rogan podcasts rather disinteresting. I'll listen to when he has a good guest on, but sometimes when I have no interest whatsoever in hearing from celebrities pretty much about anything, unless you're like, have something interesting to talk about. Like, when Tom Brady does interviews, even Belichick does interviews, I just change it. I have no interest whatsoever in hearing anything Tom Brady has to say about anything, because it's not going to be interesting. It's going to be boring. So I feel the same way about this. I just hate Danielle. I don't hate Danielle. Danielle's fine. I mean, she is what she is. She has her role on that show. I have nothing against Danielle. I just think that they're not even calling the shots. I don't even think Greg Hill is a disinteresting person. I just think that they're so neutered now because of their corporate overlords, because ultimately they're doing what Bob Murchison wants them to do. He controls the content on that station now. It's pathetic. Any other questions you guys have? Have you watched any of the 700 videos? I think he's slow. I'm not familiar with that. Any questions you guys have before we call it a night? Off subject, has anyone heard of Pete from Anselmo since Friday night? Not to my knowledge, so we'll see what happens. I'm sure Bristol will be following that. Tickle Me Anselmo is the funniest name any turtle writer has ever come up with, by the way. I just shared that meme on the Clarence Woods Emerson page. Tickle Me Anselmo. Dead. What do you think about Dion Waiters? I think he likes edibles, and he ate them, and he fucking had an incident on a plane, and I don't know what else there is to say. Any other questions? It's morning, Unc. It is morning. That's correct. How you doing, Feisty? We got to get Feisty back on. Don't you guys think we should have Feisty back on? Is that the real Feisty in the comments? She'll text me. She'll let me know if it is. We haven't had Feisty on in a couple of years. We got to get her back on. She was a great guest. Oh, it's Morning Unc. Oh, that's a good one. I like that one. That's a good name of a show. It's Morning Unc. Anyway, any last minute questions before we call it a day, folks? Remember to hit up those, hit up the fundraiser if you're feeling good, or the Turtle Boy store, whatever. Comment on the audio of you joking about rape. Is it you? What are you talking about? I'd love to hear it. I mean, if you could be more specific, I can address this real quick. Whatever this individual is talking about, me joking about rape, I'd love to comment on it. Yeah, so Stephen T says, I'm not trying to start trouble, so I don't think you are. Just, I can't answer your question if I don't know what the question is, so you'll have to be more specific, please. Understand that on this show, we make jokes about everything, and I apologize for nothing. That's kind of the whole premise of this, is that, like, nothing is off limits, right? We don't cater to an outrage mob. We're not going to be offensive for the purpose of being offensive. We're still going to keep it entertaining and witty, etc., but I'm not going to conform speech because it hurts people's feelings. It's just not how freedom works. The website was taken down? I have no idea what you're talking about, guy. No idea what you're talking about. Are you talking about me? He's saying the website was taken down. So if you have anything you want to, Steven, this is your last chance. If you want me to address this, you got to say something now specific to this and explain it, or else I'm just not wasting time on this anymore. Dale is the worst. Yeah, Dale is Dale is the perfect guy for WEI. He's just sounds like Ned Flanders. He sticks to sports. He's a company guy. He's a loser. He's a liberal. He does everything that they want. And he gets low ratings. That's all they want there. Yeah, so I have no idea. Steven, you've lost your chance. I've asked you several times what you're referring to. I don't know. He's talking about sporks. What does that mean? Is that website no longer up? The Turtle Boy Sporks article? I don't even know. Making jokes about rape? What is he even talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. So if you're talking about the Turtle Boy Sporks article, if that's really what you're referring to, Steven. You're literally asking me about the validity of a site called turtleboysporks.com, a free WordPress website that some anonymous person created 4 or 5 years ago that contains no valid sources, nothing. It's literally all made up. If you think that's the kind of thing that I need to explain, I don't think you understand how sourcing works, buddy. Okay? Just because some idiot wrote something on the internet doesn't mean it's worthy of my attention, quite frankly. So, anyway, what do I think of Negan being a whisperer? I think Negan's going to kill Alpha like he does in the comments. I mean, this is a plan for Negan. Negan was sick of seeing the bullshit in Alexandria, being afraid of these idiots, and he's like, fuck, I'm Negan. I'm not scared of people. So he goes out there and he's going to kill Alpha, trust me. He's going to chop her head off just like he did in the comic books. And Negan's the best character on The Walking Dead by far now. Negan is by far the best character on that show. Anyway, we're going to call it a night, folks. Our day, folks. Have a nice day. We will see you all tomorrow night for the live show. Peace, Turtle Riders.